What's up guys? Today we're hopping back on the Tuttio Soleil project. Just got a bunch of parts delivered so we can get this bike back on the road, hopefully faster than ever. We've previously hit 60 miles per hour momentarily before I had some battery issues, but we finally got my new custom Amorge battery delivered, which is supposed to supply more than twice as much power than the old one. So we're gonna see how fast we can make this bike go. Hopefully we can get close to 70 miles per hour. Also got a package from EMF Cole, which I believe is the Suron throttle, and a few other items for the handlebar area and Fardriver controller. And I believe these two boxes are my replacement Supermoto wheels and tires from Ride or Die. Since I took off the ones that I just installed on this bike to test fit on my Yasma IN10, I think it just looks so good that I decided they are not coming off that bike. So I got myself a replacement set for the Tuttio. Here's everything you get when you order Supermotos from Ride or Die. The front comes with a 90-90-12 Kenda Curve street tire. The rear comes with a 120-70-12 and spacers for both front and rear. For the front, the longer spacer is for the brake caliper side and the shorter one is for the other. And then these two are actually 15mm to 12mm axle adapters. They just go in here inside the wheel bearings. Since these wheels are originally designed for a bike that uses a 15mm axle, this just makes it so you can use your stock Tuttio axles. And then for the rear, it's also going to come with two 15 to 12mm adapters and two spacers, but both of these are being used on the sprocket side, and you're going to be reusing the stock spacer on the brake caliper side. So try not to get the new spacers confused with the original ones. They are different sizes. Forgot to mention, if you're new to this channel, this bike does have a Socian FW3 motor installed, which is the only reason why we're turning up the power to 14-15 kilowatts. I don't think the stock Tuttio motor is able to handle much more than 5,000 or 6,000. Bolts are super tight right out of the factory. These are actually the Yasma wheels, which is almost the same thing. They're just black instead of orange. For the sprocket side, I'm actually not going to be reusing the stock one. I'm actually going to be using an aftermarket one. We're going to be stepping it down from a 62 to a 57 for slightly taller gearing. I previously used a 53 tooth one on this Tuttio, which definitely got a higher top speed, but I want to try something a little bit different, see if we can regain some of that lower end torque back, but still manage to get a slightly higher top speed than the factory sprocket. If you want to get more information on this 57 tooth sprocket that I'm using, I'll leave a link to the Amazon listing where I got it. I think it was around 20 bucks. You know what? I think the chain's a little bit too short for this 57 tooth sprocket. I forgot that I shortened this chain a couple lengths to accommodate for the 53 tooth sprocket that we were previously using. And I definitely don't feel like adding links to this one right now. So I'm just gonna swap out the rear wheel with the one that's on my Yasma. Now I'm using the stock spacer on the brake side and both spacers provided by Ride or Die on the sprocket side. I'm not going to tighten the rear axle just yet. I'm going to adjust the chain tension just to make sure that the axle blocks are adjusted evenly on both sides. Here's a closer look at how it's mounted. Got about a 1/4 inch of clearance between the chain and the tire, and same thing on the right side between the swing arm and the tire. I just think the 12-inch Supermotos look so good on these smaller bikes, especially if you're setting it up for street use. If you want to get more information on the Ride or Die Supermotos, I'll leave a link in the description to the listing. You can also get 5% off using discount code PATOutdoors. All right, now let's check out what we got from EMF Cole. Got a couple things here. This is the Suron throttle that's pre-wired for a Fardriver controller. This, I believe, is a signal wire harness for the keyed voltmeter. It's pretty much going to be plug and play for the universal Fardriver harness, and he included some instructions actually, so that's pretty nice. And then this one I'm super excited about, the EMF display harness. This is going to allow me to use a DKD display on the Tuttio. Pretty nice to have a company that's making plug and play harnesses for these type of projects. I don't think I'm going to be installing this today though, because I actually just ordered my Ride or Die fork upgrade for the Tuttio, which I should be getting in the next few days. So I'd rather take apart the front end of the bike all at the same time. But definitely check out EMF's website, which I'll have in the description, and stay tuned to the channel if you want to see more of these projects. So I finally got my shipment of batteries from Amorge, which I've been waiting for almost 2 months. If you never ordered a battery from them, I figured I'd show you how they come. So I actually ordered 2 batteries from Amorge. One is for my Tuttio project and one is for my electric mountain bike. It actually seems like their packaging has changed a little bit since I last ordered from them. So you can see everything is well protected. This one I'm assuming is the 72V Tuttio battery, and then the smaller one is for my electric mountain bike. They sent over the matching discharge connectors for your controller along with 2 chargers. Definitely be careful when you're unpackaging these batteries, since you could potentially damage the wiring if you're aggressive with a knife. Here it is. This is a metal case 72V battery, max peak discharge of 250 amps for 10 seconds, max continuous discharge of 200 amps. That's crazy, because that means we're able to maintain at least 15 kilowatts with this thing. And I think I got this battery for a little over 600 bucks, obviously before shipping. And these are not batteries that are just sitting on shelves. This one has a production date of 9/12/2025. So I know that they made this after I gave them the specs that I was looking for. And this tiny battery is a 60V 10 amp hour with a max peak discharge of 70 amps, continuous 50. I'm actually using this battery for my sleeper 3000 watt electric mountain bike build, which is going to be a completely separate video. Matching XT90 discharge connector for the smaller battery, and then a matching QS8 discharge connector for the Tuttio battery. And then this is a 67.2V 5 amp charger for the 60V battery. And this other charger is a 84V 5 amp charger for the Tuttio battery. They also threw in some decals and user guides for both batteries. I often get asked to send links for the batteries that I'm using from Amorge, but unfortunately there's no such thing. To order an Amorge battery, you just have to email info@amorge and tell them what you're looking for, and someone will get back to you pretty quickly. I want to say within 24 hours. It's really hard to tell people what price is going to be, since Amorge gives you so many different options as far as what battery cells you want to use, what BMS, exact measurements, what discharge connectors you want to use. And shipping rates also vary quite a bit if you were using air or super slow sea shipment to save some money. So I would just suggest contacting them directly to get the exact pricing for what you're looking for. Since we already upgraded the controller to a ND72530, I already have a QS8 connector, which will work with the new battery, but I'm still gonna swap it out to the one that's supplied by Amorge, since this one has much fatter and heavier duty cables and connectors on it, and I'm trying to deliver as much power as possible. I also have the Bluetooth dongle already connected. I'm just going to tuck all the wiring above the controller area, tie it in place, and put the battery in. This battery is definitely custom made for the Tuttio. It does look like I'm going to have to modify this top latch and potentially re-drill the holes so it'll fully lock the battery in place. But before I do all that, let's just make sure this thing works still. Moment of truth. Definitely still works. I also want to look over these tune settings. I know I already have it set up for 72 volts, but I just got to make sure that the controller output settings are safe for this battery. I pretty much have the controller set to 200 line amps, 530 phase amps, which is going to be the max capability of this battery. Pretty sure the controller is able to do a little bit more than what the battery is able to do, but I think there's going to be way too much power for this bike regardless, so it's going to be fun. I'm just going to have to modify these holes on the inside of the frame since they do fall slightly below the top edge of the battery and we're not able to lock the latch. And I'm also going to have to cut a section here to make a little bit more clearance for the top of the battery. Alright, so we definitely have plenty of clearance on this portion of the hinge now. And you definitely have to remove that twist knob assembly since there's a handle on top of the Amorge battery. Looks like I'm gonna have to re-drill some holes on the inside of the frame for this to fully lock in place. So I'm gonna have to order some different size drill bits to get that done correctly. For the meantime, this battery's not gonna go anywhere. It fits super snug in place already without it even being latched. So I'm just gonna leave it like this till we do the fork upgrade and DKD display install and whatnot, and we'll just take care of it all at the same time. For now, I kinda just wanna see how fast this thing goes. Yeah, I feel like it's been so long since we last turned this bike on. Super psyched to get it back on the road. I'm just gonna jump straight into mode 3. Holy cow, this thing's got a ton of torque. We haven't even cracked the throttle halfway yet. We already hit 50 miles per hour on the GPS, which is absolutely outrageous. So that was about half throttle so far, and we had no problem hitting 61 miles per hour. It's not exactly the speed that I'm intimidated with on this bike, but it's the torque, the amount of power it has to accelerate in such a short distance. Like, check this out. Half throttle. I'm a little bit sketched out to go full throttle right off the bat. I definitely have to get used to this bike. Coming, so I had to hit the brakes there, but we already hit 66 miles per hour. Let me see if I can get a clean pass here. Let's go. This thing is scary fast. Like, I don't really think I've passed much more than half throttle so far. The short wheelbase just makes the torque so intimidating. And I keep getting these cars. Alright, I can't get any luck doing a pass on the street. There's so many cars. I'm gonna try to find a different street that has slightly less traffic on there. But this bike is absolutely crazy. I'm not really sure if I want to do any more passes with the stock brakes. I'm glad I have these Supermoto wheels with the Kenda tires on there. I I definitely trust these a lot more than the stock pit bike knobby tires. The street seems a little bit quieter, so let's go for it. There was a turn coming, so I had to slow down, but we already hit 69 miles per hour. I would like to know if you guys know of any Tuttios that have gone well over 70 miles per hour. Obviously with an adult rider on there, not just freewheeling in the air. Because now I am genuinely interested in knowing if I am the fastest Tuttio on the street right now. I'm going to see if I can get some help from my buddy Turbo Moose or Florida Razors to see if he can help me optimize the Fardriver controller settings to get a little bit more speed out of this. But I have no doubt that this current setup can hit well over 70, 71 miles per hour right now. If you guys enjoyed today's video, do me a favor and hit that like button. If you like this kind of content, want to keep up with the Tuttio build or any of my other bikes, make sure to subscribe to this channel. But this is going to be it for today. Thank you for watching.